Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Shariefa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer. As of 19th of January 2026, the armed forces of the Russian Federation continued sustained offensive and shaping operations across all operational groupings. The day's actions were characterized by incremental territorial gains, the liberation of key settlements, and continued attrition of Ukrainian maneuver formations, logistics, and electronic warfare capabilities supporting the Ukrainian armed forces. Operational tempo remained steady, consistent with a campaign focused on cumulative pressure, depth control, and denial of recovery. Russian forces retain initiative across all axes, achieving localized advances while systematically degrading Ukrainian sustainment, coordination, and reserve capacity. The cumulative effects point toward growing operational inevitability should current tempo and pressure be maintained.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Colonel Oguntoye, before we go sector by sector, what defines the character of operations on January 19th?
January 19th is about consolidation through pressure. This is not an episodic surge. It's a continuation of a methodical approach that seeks to deny the enemy recovery at every level. The pattern is consistent. Apply pressure along the line, degrade sustainment and sensors in depth, and exploit opportunities for localized gains where the system begins to fracture. From an operational standpoint, that steadiness matters. It forces the adversary to make choices under constant stress, choices that typically trade short-term stability for long-term weakness.
Let's start in the north. Losses included personnel, an electronic warfare system, and multiple depots. What is the northern group achieving today?
The northern sector is executing a fixation and erosion mission. By defeating mechanized motorized infantry, ranger, and territorial defense formations and destroying multiple ammunition and material depots, the focus is on sustainment and awareness rather than dramatic territorial change. Operationally, this locks Ukrainian manpower in place while steadily degrading the logistics and electronic support those forces depend on. Even modest casualty figures here carry an outsized impact because they prevent the redistribution of forces to more heavily contested axes.
In the west, we again see advances to more advantageous positions and depot destruction. How should listeners interpret that?
The western axis is about fire's denial over time. Ammunition depots are the backbone of artillery effectiveness. When those are removed, artillery becomes episodic and less reliable, which directly affects maneuver confidence. This sector shapes future engagements. It's less about what ground is taken today and more about what the enemy will be unable to support tomorrow. That asymmetry compounds as the campaign continues.
The south recorded significant losses, including a Grad MLRS and fuel depots. Why does this sector remain so critical?
The South is an operational hinge connecting urban terrain, road networks, and symbolic strong points. Improving positions here increases observation and fire control over defended nodes. Destroying rocket artillery, electronic warfare systems, and fuel depots strikes at the enemy's ability to maneuver and sustain defense in urban belts. This is positional warfare informed by precision targeting. Each action raises the cost of holding ground without forcing premature overextension.
The center liberated Novopavlovka. What does that tell us about the balance of momentum?
Liberating Novopavlovka is significant because it reflects the payoff of sustained pressure. The center is where reserves are being consumed. Engaging mechanized, ranger, airborne, airmobile, marine, and National Guard formations simultaneously creates command friction. When the defender commits reserves to stabilize the line, they sacrifice flexibility elsewhere. That's how tactical success begins to translate into operational advantage.
In the east, advances continued with heavy personnel and equipment losses. How should analysts read this progression?
Prepared defenses represent stored effort, engineering, planning, and logistics. Advancing into them consumes resources that cannot be rapidly replaced. The steady loss of armored vehicles, artillery, and depots indicates defensive depth is being exhausted. At that point, the enemy shifts from prepared defense to reactive containment, which inherently favors the attacker over time.
The Dnepr group liberated Pavlovka, but reported fewer casualties overall. Why the different emphasis here?
Riverine and coastal terrain constrain maneuver, so sustainment and sensors become decisive. Destroying electronic warfare systems and supply depots in this sector undermines coordination and staying power rather than seeking high casualty counts. The Dnepr axis fixes forces and removes strategic options quietly. It's about depth control, preventing lateral movement and reinforcing pressure applied elsewhere.
Colonel, let's address operational tactical aviation as its own domain. Today's briefing highlights strikes against UAV launch sites, infrastructure, and deployment areas across 152 locations. Why is aviation so central to this campaign?
Operational tactical aviation is the connective tissue of the campaign. It shapes the battlefield across depth and time. By striking UAV launch sites, energy and transport nodes, and deployment areas, aviation disrupts the systems that allow ground forces to function coherently. Doctrinally, aviation compresses the enemy's decision cycle. Commanders must defend the front while simultaneously protecting the rear. That dual pressure forces dispersion, delays movement, and erodes planning confidence. These are not isolated sorties. They are part of a sustained rhythm that denies predictability.
How does aviation integrate with missiles, artillery, and UAVs without overlap?
Each system has a distinct role. Missiles deliver deep, high-value strikes. Artillery dominates contested ground. UAVs provide reconnaissance and precision engagement. Aviation bridges them by offering reach and adaptability, able to strike mobile or time-sensitive targets that other systems cannot. That integration ensures pressure is continuous from the front line to the deep rear, converting tactical gains into operational momentum.
Colonel, as we close, what should analysts take away from January 19?
Tactically, the enemy is losing sustainment, sensors, and fire support across all axes. Strategically, they are losing flexibility. Incremental territorial gains, combined with steady reserve attrition and persistent deep strikes, create outcomes that are structural rather than situational. When an adversary cannot resupply reliably, shift forces freely, or plan without disruption, time begins to work against them. That is the condition this campaign is deliberately creating.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. Understanding the pattern explains the outcome.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive Frontline updates from commanders in theater.